My dad drained the $120,000 I'd saved since I was 18, used it to clear my younger brother's debts, pay for his honeymoon, and buy a luxury car. When I confronted him, my dad said, "Your family, do your part." I smiled and said, "Funny, that money wasn't even mine." The call came just past midnight, just when I'd finally drifted off after a long shift. I fumbled for the phone, groggy and half-blind. The caller ID made my stomach drop. Dad. I hadn't seen that name pop up in over 2 years. "Adrian," came the voice, smug and slow, like he'd been waiting years to deliver whatever he was about to say. "Glad to see you finally decided to contribute to the family." I sat up, already alert. "What are you talking about?" He chuckled. "The savings. You know, the one you kept so secret, so tightly guarded since you were, what, 18? All those years you worked like a little rat? We put it to good use." I blinked hard, my mouth dry. "You? What savings?" "Oh, come on," he said, his voice laced with mock sympathy. "You didn't really think you could keep all that money to yourself, did you? It's a family trust now." Blake had some debts, college stuff, a few credit cards, honeymoon in Bora Bora, and, of course, the new Audi. "That thing is sweet." My heart pounded. My chest tightened like a vice. "You took my money?" I asked slowly. No, he said brightly. "We all agreed it was for the good of the family. Blake needed a clean start. You've always been the stable one. A little redistribution, that's all." I felt like I was outside my own body. "How much?" "Oh, about 120 grand, give or take," he said, like he was commenting on the weather. "You should be proud." Something inside me snapped. Not with fury, not with grief. It was cleaner than that. I laughed, not just a chuckle, a full, bitter, sharp-edged laugh that startled even me. "Proud," I said, wiping the corner of my eye where tears had started to form but never fell. "That money." He cut in, suddenly defensive. "Look, it's not like you were using it, just sitting there, stagnant. You're not married, no kids. What was it even for?" I stood and paced the room, bare feet on cold hardwood. My voice was flat now. "You really think that money was just extra? Like it was some decoration I was hoarding?" "Well, it wasn't mine," I said quietly. A beat of silence on the other end. "I've been funneling money into that account since I was 18. Side jobs, tutoring, late-night coding gigs. Every cent went into that account because I was going to give it to someone. Someday, someone who actually needed it." He scoffed. "Don't act like you're some martyr." "I'm not," I said calmly. "But you really should have asked what that money was for before you stole it." His voice faltered. "You're not going to do anything crazy, are you?" I smiled, though he couldn't see it. "Oh, don't worry, Dad. I'm done doing crazy things like trusting this family." I hung up before he could reply, and just like that, the illusion shattered. Not confusion, not regret, just clarity. Cold, clean clarity. That dinner was just a few weeks ago, but it felt like a lifetime had passed since then. We were all crammed around the old oak dining table at my parents' place in Frederick, Maryland. The place was dressed up to impress, new curtains, candles lit, the whole production. My mom had made her famous rosemary roast, and Dad was pouring wine like we were all old friends instead of a dysfunctional disaster with silverware. I brought dessert, a tart, peach and almond, homemade. Took me 4 hours and way too many curse words. I placed it carefully on the counter, hoping someone might say something. They didn't. Not right away, anyway. "Oh, how domestic," my sister-in-law Kelly muttered as she passed behind me. She was smiling, but not at me, never at me. Blake was the center of attention, as usual. He strolled in late, skin tan like he'd just come from the Caribbean, which, of course, he had. His new Rolex caught the light with every hand gesture. "Mexico was amazing," he said, sliding into his seat like he owned the place. "The all-inclusives are overrated, though. We did private villas. Real experience, you know?" Mom clapped her hands, her eyes glowing like she was watching a celebrity sighting. "You two are just living the dream. I swear, you're on such a beautiful path." Dad raised his glass. "To Blake," he said. "To new beginnings. To his future, bright, bold, and fully financed." There was laughter all around the table. Even Kelly laughed. I just sipped my water and tried not to choke on the irony. "And of course," Dad added, turning to me like I was an exhibit in a zoo, "none of this would be possible without Adrian's steady hand, the silent support, always the reliable one." It was meant to be a compliment, I guess, but it landed like a slap. Everyone raised their glasses again. Blake winked at me across the table. "Couldn't have done it without you, bro," he said with a smirk. I opened my mouth to say something, but nothing came out. What could I even say? "You're welcome for the money you stole before I even knew it was gone?" I swallowed the lump in my throat and nodded. The peach tart sat untouched on the counter. The conversation shifted to Blake's new startup idea, something about flipping short-term rentals. Kelly chimed in, talking about Instagram growth and follower counts. It was like watching a show where everyone knew their lines but me. I stared at my plate and tried to breathe through it, tried not to scream. At some point, Blake threw an arm around Dad and joked, "We've got a great system, huh? Adrian earns it. We enjoy it." More laughter. That was when I realized I didn't belong. I was the ghost at the table, a donor, an audience member clapping at the end of a performance I never agreed to fund. I didn't say a word that night, just cleaned up after everyone left, packed up my untouched tart, drove home in silence. And now, looking back, I realized that dinner wasn't just a celebration. It was a funeral for whatever was left of my trust in them. It started with a form on a Sunday afternoon. I remember the exact moment. Dad had shown up at my apartment with a folder in hand, casual as ever. "Taxes," he said, waving the papers like they were nothing. Just routine stuff. Family trust alignment. It's all above board. I was in the middle of reheating leftovers. Since when do we have a family trust? He chuckled. It's not really a trust, more like streamlining our holdings for estate planning. Your name's just there for paperwork reasons. Technical stuff. I looked at the forms. It all looked official. Legalese printed in small font, a signature line at the bottom with my name typed neatly beneath it. And there it was, his signature already filled in. Blake's too. I hesitated. Do I need to get this notarized or something? Nah, he said, opening my drawer like he lived there and pulling out a pen. Just a signature. It helps with tax shielding. You're doing well. We don't want Uncle Sam taking more than he needs, right? I signed. Didn't even read the fine print. Back then, I still thought they were just annoying. Thought my family was dysfunctional, sure, but not malicious. I had no idea I just signed away 5 years of savings. The next time I logged into my account, I knew something was off. The balance was wrong, lower. A lot lower. I thought it was a glitch. It wasn't. I called the bank. The woman on the phone was polite, efficient. It looks like there's been recent activity from a trust account. Shared authorization. She paused. It's all under a joint directive, Mr. Locke. My blood ran cold. A what? The trust. Established last quarter. You're listed as a co-beneficiary and contributor. I never created a trust. You signed the agreement, sir. I pulled up my emails. Nothing. No warnings. No alerts. Just a silent draining of everything I'd saved. I called my father. He didn't answer the first time, or the second. Finally, on the third try, he picked up. Adrian, he said, voice warm like we were old friends. Everything all right? You forged a trust with my money, I said quietly. There was a pause. Oh, come on, he said. Don't be dramatic. You signed it yourself. You told me it was for taxes. And it was. We used it responsibly. Responsibly. He didn't flinch. Blake had debts, student loans, a new marriage. You're always the responsible one. We knew you'd understand. I laughed, hollow and bitter. You weaponized that. You used my trust as a weapon. He sighed like I was the unreasonable one. You're acting like this is betrayal. It's family support. You didn't need all that money just sitting there. It wasn't sitting. I snapped. It was mine. It had a purpose. I had a plan. Well, he said, tone smug now. Seems like Blake had a plan too. I hung up before I could say something I'd regret. But the regret was already there, buried in the ink of my own signature. My trust in them had a timestamp, and I'd signed it in blood. I didn't think it could get worse. I'd already lost the money, already sat through the humiliation of hearing my father justify it like it was some noble sacrifice. But then, on a rainy Tuesday morning, I opened my credit report, and everything shifted again. There it was. A new line of credit under my name. Opened 3 months ago. A card I didn't recognize. Issuer, Midtown Rewards. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. The limit was $20,000. The balance? 17 and change. All charged in 90 days. I called the bank immediately. The customer service rep confirmed it. Yes, the account was opened with matching credentials. SSN, date of birth, full name, all accurate. I didn't open that account, I said through clenched teeth. There was a pause. I see notes here. It was authorized using your signature. Of course it was. Because I'd made the mistake once already, signing something without reading it, giving them the template. I had no idea what they'd copied, scanned, repurposed. I pulled up the itemized statement. The list was a slap in the face. Luxury spa retreats. Boutique hotel stays in Charleston and Aspen. Designer luggage. High-end furniture from places I couldn't afford even if I wanted to. And one transaction stood out. Capitol Ridge Real Estate, LLC. $3,500 down payment. That was the moment it clicked. I remembered what my cousin Jenny had mentioned just a week earlier. Hey, I saw Blake posted about his new real estate venture, she said over coffee. You guys partnered up or something? What? He said he had a silent investor. I just assumed it was you. He tagged you in the post, actually. I had laughed it off at the time, but now it made sense. They weren't just using my money. They were using me, my name, my credit, my reputation. I checked the post. There it was, Blake grinning in front of a for sale sign, a modest suburban flip. Caption, big thanks to my backers for believing in this vision, especially my brother Adrian. Couldn't do it without you, man. I felt like I was going to be sick. Then came the final twist of the knife. A GoFundMe campaign, created by my mother, shared across Facebook and family group chats. Help Blake and Kelly build their dream home. And right at the top of the donor list, Adrian Locke, $5,000. I hadn't donated a single cent. People had been commenting, thanking me for my generosity. Old family friends, distant aunts, even co-workers. That wasn't just theft. That was identity laundering. They weren't stealing from me anymore. They were stealing me. I called my father again, straight to voicemail. I left a message this time. Calm, short. You've crossed the line. You didn't just take my savings. You took my face, my future. There's no coming back from this. I hung up. No yelling, no threats, just silence. And in that silence, a promise formed, not to fix it, not to forgive, but to expose everything. Because if they were going to turn me into a myth, a name on the bottom of a fundraising lie, then I'd show the world the truth. Not the brother, not the donor, just the mark. Until now, the live stream was scheduled for 8 p.m. sharp. I titled it, What Does Betrayal Sound Like? No graphics, no dramatic music, just my face, dead center in the frame, with a plain white wall behind me. I had rehearsed the opening in my head 100 times. But when I finally hit the Go Live button, I didn't need a script. Hi, my name's Adrian Locke. Some of you know me. Some of you think you know me. I took a slow breath. Tonight, I want to show you what happens when family stops being about love and starts becoming a transaction. There were maybe 15 people watching at first, mostly friends, a few random usernames. I started with the bank statements, screen shared them, highlighted the transfers. Here's a deposit I made into a personal savings account over the course of 8 years. And here, I zoomed in on the withdrawal history, is how it was emptied within 90 days under a trust one never agreed to. I pulled up a PDF, the trust agreement with my forged signature. See that? That's my name. Except I never wrote that. The viewer count ticked up, 30, 40, then 100. Next, I played the audio clip. My dad, laughing on the phone. We all agreed it was for the good of the family. Blake needed a clean start. I paused the video, let it hang in the air. He didn't ask. He just took. I went through the credit report next. The fake card, the luxury charges, then the GoFundMe. Here's the part where it gets fun, I said, my voice flat. That donation at the top? That wasn't me. I didn't give them $5,000. But they put my name there anyway. Because to them, I'm not a person. I'm an ATM with a LinkedIn profile. The chat exploded. This is insane. Holy crap. Are they even allowed to do that? Tagging him as an investor is fraud. I barely kept up with the comments. Some were from friends. A few were mutuals of Blake. One of them typed, "Wait, did Blake's fiancée know?" That was when the message popped up. At Kelly Wren, I didn't know. I left him. I stared at it, read it 3 times, then read it out loud. Kelly just commented, she left him. A hush fell over the chat. The viewer count surged past 200. I kept going, showed screenshots from the family group text, messages where they mocked me, called me uptight, and too sensitive when I pushed back. Then came the voice recording. My father again. You've always been the responsible one. You were supposed to cover us. That's your role. I paused it. That's what they see when they look at me. Not a person. A role. At the end, I leaned into the camera. You didn't lose your reputation because I spoke. You lost it because I stopped covering for you. I clicked end stream. The silence afterward was deafening. My phone buzzed for 2 hours straight. DMs from strangers, friends, co-workers, even 2 cousins I hadn't heard from in years. The video was already being clipped and shared. Comments flooded in, some shocked, some furious, some heartbreakingly familiar. Apparently, I wasn't the only one with a family like mine. At 11:17 p.m., I got a text from Blake. Blake, what the hell did you do? I didn't reply. I was done talking. Let the receipts speak for themselves. 3 days after the live stream went viral, I got a letter delivered to my door. Certified mail, heavy envelope, the kind that makes your stomach twist before you even read what's inside. The return address read, Braden and Cole LLP, my father's lawyer. I opened it with steady hands, though my heart was already pounding. Cease and desist. They were accusing me of defamation, claiming my video was false, damaging, and designed to maliciously harm the Locke family's reputation. They even demanded I delete the live stream, issue a public apology, and agree not to discuss private family matters in public again. I read the letter twice. Then I laughed. Not a bitter laugh this time. A clean, amused, I see what you're trying to do kind of laugh. I forwarded the letter to my attorney, Maya Torres, with the subject line, incoming nonsense. Let's dance. She called me less than an hour later. Wow, she said, not even bothering with a hello. Your dad has some nerve. They really think they can scare me, I said. They have no case, she replied flatly. We're not just going to respond, we're going to counterclaim. I felt a strange calm settle over me. Let's do it. She filed a counterclaim the next morning. $120,000 in damages, plus interest, plus punitive penalties for fraud, identity theft, and unauthorized use of a financial trust. We attached everything. The fake trust paperwork, bank statements, audio recordings, screenshots, and my credit report with the fraudulent account in my name. Maya copied Braden and Cole on everything, with a note so perfectly worded it felt like poetry. Any further communication should be directed to our office. Mr. Locke will not be intimidated. Any additional threats will be treated as retaliation and added to the suit. That same evening, I posted one final message on my social accounts. Just text, no hashtags, no drama. You didn't lose your reputation because I spoke. You lost it because I stopped covering for you. Let the record show. I don't want silence. I want justice. The post blew up within hours. Screenshots of the cease and desist were already circulating. People were dissecting every detail of the trust document, analyzing the forged signature like it was a true crime case. And then something strange happened. Strangers started tagging the lawyer's office, flooding their Google reviews, DMs, Twitter, hashtag family fraud, hashtag not your son, hashtag free Adrian. I didn't ask for any of that, but I won't lie, it felt good to see the truth echo louder than their threats. The legal system was now involved. This wasn't just about reputation anymore. This was about consequences, real ones. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one paying the price. They were. It started with a phone notification. Blake Locke deleted his Instagram account, then TikTok, then LinkedIn. Gone. Like he'd never existed online in the first place. I didn't celebrate, but I won't pretend it didn't feel satisfying. The fallout came fast. 2 weeks after the counterclaim hit their lawyer's desk, Blake's wedding was officially called off. I didn't hear it from him, of course. It came through Kelly's sister, who DM'd me a simple message. He lied to all of us. Thank you for showing the truth. I stared at the message for a long time, thumb hovering over the screen. Then I locked my phone and moved on. The next blow came from her parents. They'd been footing the bill for most of the wedding. After the live stream, they pulled every cent of support. The venue? Cancelled. The photographer? Gone. The down payment on the dream home he claimed to be flipping? Reversed. Frozen accounts. The house of cards was falling, one layer at a time. Then one afternoon, I checked my bank account out of habit, and there it was. A wire transfer labeled Family Resolution. Exact amount, $120,000. No message, no name, just silence. I stared at the screen, motionless. They didn't even try to apologize. No calls, no texts, just money. A bribe in the shape of restitution. I forwarded the receipt to Maya. Her reply was simple. Do you want to accept the settlement? I sat with that question for hours, stared at my ceiling, thought about every unpaid night shift, every lie, every backhanded compliment over dinner. Every time they made me feel like a footnote in my own life. The money was mine, sure, but the silence? That was theirs. Finally, I called Maya. Market received, I said, but the interest was silence. She paused, meaning, I'm not accepting that anymore. Because that's how they operated. Sweep it under the rug, patch it with a payment, call it even, and hope I'd go back to pretending everything was fine. But I wasn't interested in patching anymore. They stole from me, then watched me burn while they toasted Blake's bright future. They didn't expect the fire to spread. Well, it did. My father didn't reach out. Not once. No attempt to explain, to beg, not even an angry voicemail. He always believed he could control the narrative with just enough charm and a checkbook. But money isn't apology, and silence isn't repair. It's retreat. So yeah, they wired the money back. But I didn't forgive them, because you can't buy back what you already buried. And if they thought the transfer would end it, they never understood the damage in the first place. That wire didn't close the book. It just highlighted the ending. And I was finally free to start writing something new. Without them, I left everything behind the day after the wire hit. No big announcement. No last words. Just packed 2 duffel bags, cleared out my apartment, and disappeared. New city, new name, no forwarding address. I didn't tell friends. I didn't even tell Maya, my lawyer, until weeks later. Just sent her a new email from a secure address with instructions on where to route any follow-up correspondence. I landed in Asheville, North Carolina. Quiet, wooded, and tucked far enough into the mountains that nobody asked questions. I took a job in cybersecurity for a private firm that specialized in off-grid security networks. Fully remote. No LinkedIn. No office birthday parties. Perfect. I changed everything. Address, phone, haircut, social security monitoring, burner accounts. It was like erasing the fingerprints of my former life. Every trace of Adrian Locke, scrubbed. Except the memories. Those didn't go away. One afternoon, maybe 2 months after I vanished, a letter showed up at the mail drop I'd set up for legal notices. Heavy paper, formal envelope. The return address caught me immediately. Joseph Locke, executor of estate. I sat down before I opened it. It was his will. My father's. He was dead. And apparently, even from the grave, he had one more performance to give. I flipped through the pages. There it was, buried on page 4. To my son, Adrian Locke, I leave nothing. No property, no holdings, no funds. His absence is his inheritance. My jaw clenched, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even flinch. Because I expected this. He didn't forget me. He erased me. And that was the difference. People forget by accident. They erase on purpose. And this was on purpose. He wanted to leave one final message. One last reach for control. But this time, he'd lost the right to dictate the ending. I took the document to a beach outside of town. Remote, quiet, a stretch of sand where nobody would bother me. I sat cross-legged in the sand with the will in one hand and a lighter in the other. No ceremony, no sentiment, just a flick of the wheel and a breath of flame. I watched the edges curl, blacken, disappear into ash. The fire caught fast, like it had been waiting all this time. The last page turned to smoke in my hands. You didn't forget me, I whispered, the wind carrying my voice out to the tide. You erased me, and now I've returned the favor. The sky was turning pink. The tide crept closer, washing away the footprints behind me. I stood, brushed sand off my jeans, and walked back to the parking lot without looking back. The name Joseph Locke would never touch my tongue again. He made sure I didn't exist in his version of the world, so I made sure he no longer existed in mine. I go by a different name now, not a legal alias, just a clean one that doesn't carry the weight of years spent trying to earn something that was never offered. I don't tell people much, not where I'm from, not what happened, just that I used to live somewhere up north, and that I prefer things quiet. And they believe me, because I do. My life now is simple, intentional, mine. I rent a cabin on the outskirts of Asheville, surrounded by trees. No neighbors in shouting distance. The Wi-Fi is strong enough for my remote cybersecurity work, and the silence is strong enough to keep the rest of the world out. There's a routine to it. Coffee at dawn. Work from 7 to 3. A walk through the woods with no phone, no music, just leaves and wind and the occasional startled deer. I cook for myself, sleep 8 hours, and every Sunday I sit by the window and watch the sun set without speaking a word to anyone. It's not loneliness. It's a choice. The cabin phone rings maybe once a week, usually a wrong number. My personal number is gone, deleted. So is my old email, my social accounts. All of it. The people from my past, blocked or ignored. Sometimes I'll see an unfamiliar number try again and again. I don't answer. I let them ring into nothing. A few even left voicemails. One from my mom. Her voice brittle, trying to sound casual. Sweetheart, just wondering where you've been. We're trying to get everyone together this fall. Maybe you'd come home. Home. Funny how they only call it that once they realize they don't know where you are anymore. Another message came in last week from someone I didn't recognize. Just said, they miss you. Don't you miss them? I didn't reply. Instead, I set up an auto response on the last email account I haven't closed. This address is no longer monitored. This name is no longer valid. If you are looking for the person I used to be, he's gone. And he is. I don't wake up wondering if I've disappointed anyone. I don't flinch when my phone buzzes. I don't explain myself anymore. Silence used to be my punishment. The cold shoulder. The quiet that followed every family insult. Every manipulative guilt trip. I used to beg to be heard. Now, silence is my shield. And it isn't revenge. It's rebirth. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter. I'm just done. Done waiting to be respected. Done pretending they didn't mean it when they laughed behind my back and took what was mine. I don't want their calls. I don't want their names in my inbox. I don't want their apologies. I want this. A life they can't touch. A peace they never gave me. And a name they'll never find again. My name is no longer Adrian Locke. And I am finally free.